Yeah, it was in the cart, right?
Yeah, so where's the cart?
I don't know, I left it right here.
You left it? Alone?
I just went to get a paper. I'm sure it's just...
You sure it's just, what, gone? You're right, it is. It's gone.
Someone probably just took it by accident.
Actually took the cart but left my sweater. Hey, excuse me! Excuse me!
Where are you going, Nancy?
Excuse me!
Please be nice.
This is my cart.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. This is my salmon, those are my eggs, and this is my dip.
Oh, my God. You're right. I'm sorry. What a stupid mistake.
Mistake? Did you mistakenly take my cart and leave my sweater, or did you do that so I wouldn't recognize my cart?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'll just go find mine.
Uh-huh. Not so fast, lady.
What are you... Nancy, hey, come on. What are you... Nancy, what are you doing?
You didn't believe her, did you?
You've got your cart back. Why not just give her the benefit of the doubt?
That's not my style.
What is your style? To track her down and stone her to death? I have to go.
Take a cab.
A cab?
I'm not leaving here until I have proof that woman's a thief.
No matter how long it takes?
Hey, wish me luck.
Both my grandfather, my father, my uncle, they were all policemen in Nigeria. It was a family business.
So you didn't really have a choice.
Well, I stayed in school for a long time because I wasn't sure. Studied different things, but then I decided it was what I wanted to do. So I joined.
How'd that work out?
I got shot.
Really?
I got shot twice. My father took me aside and told me he didn't know if I was suited to it. And my wife said, you want to be a policeman? You have to be one somewhere else.
How about now? I mean, if Toronto police called you tomorrow and said they'd accepted you, what would you do?
I don't know. If I can't even be a good security guard.
Louis, you didn't do anything wrong to that shoplifter. You were just doing your job.
But I knew I could let him get away again. So maybe...
Were you trying to hurt him?
No, I was just trying to stop him from running away.
And we're going to show that you used reasonable force to do that. This didn't just happen out of nowhere. You didn't just attack some guy on the street. You were acting within the scope of your job. You did nothing wrong. You have to remember that, okay? That's the attitude you need to take into court. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
Hey, Zona. Did you... Zona? Hey. Zona. Listen, hi. Look, I need to make a few calls. Can you just come get me when they bring my client up?
No, I can't.
Hey, Zona. Why not?
Because I think you should be in there like everyone else.
Look, it's just a favor.
No, it's not. It's an exemption.
Zona.
Everything all right, Miss Robinson?
Mr. Sharma was just telling me how difficult he finds it to sit on these benches for any length of time.
Hemorrhoids?
What's she doing over there?
She's gone over to the dark side. Go.
She's a crown? Hey.
Whatever it is, the answer's no.
I want to congratulate you.
Thank you. But the answer's still no. Just sit down and wait, okay?
Any time now, Miss Robinson.
This is Mr. Wade Cassidy and his brother Duke, Your Worship.
Charges are impaired driving and assault police ×4.
DUIs from the same incident? Were they both driving the car?
No, they each had their own time in the sun on that one, Your Worship. Wade was arrested at Queen and John when police noticed his car repeatedly climbing the curb. He was taken to 52 Division. His brother Duke arrived later, apparently intending to bail Wade out. But as he pulled into the parking lot, he smashed his car into a police cruiser. He was subsequently arrested also for driving under the influence. The assault police occurred this morning when the brothers were taken from their cell to be brought here. They began to punch and kick at the officers, and it took some time to subdue them.
They just came in and told us to get up, start yelling at us.
We were pretty hungover, so they should have known that.
We were pissed off about that.
What do they want, Ms. Robinson?
What do you mean, what do we want to do? I want to bail him out.
Yeah, I want to bail him out.
Yeah, well, that's not happening.
Try Plan B.
She means, is there anyone else?
Well, there's our dad.
And what are the chances he's sober enough to make it down here without killing someone?
Well, not good if he's in the same shape I left him in last night.
Our father has a serious drinking problem. And it was hard growing up without a role model. Like that on the record, please.
I'll spread the word.
Okay, we're holding their matters down.
For how long, Your Worship?
Until tomorrow. Do you want to know why? Because I'm not here tomorrow. Could you escort these gentlemen out of my courtroom, please?
You can call Sandy. She's my girlfriend.
No way, she's my girlfriend, man.
You wish, man. She's trying to make you jealous. Ow!
Okay, who's next?
What's your name, sir?
Yuri Kozlov.
Oh, my God. DeRay, initial A for the record, Your Worship.
Mr. Kozlov is charged with assault with a weapon, threatened death, and 6 counts of both resist arrest and assault police.
Yeah, sure. What do they look like?
What's that, Mr. Ray?
Well, Mr. Kozlov is so badly beaten, one might assume that he's the victim. I was just wondering what the arresting officers look like.
Maybe we should just listen to the allegations. Go ahead, Miss Montiel.
Mr. Kozlov is currently enrolled as a PhD student at the University of Toronto, where he's also in residence. Late last night, he accosted his roommate in the common room and threatened to kill him if he didn't stop stealing his food. When the roommate denied stealing Mr. Kozlov's food, he became irate and began throwing his roommate's papers and textbooks to the floor. He then began to punch him repeatedly in the head. The police were called, and as they approached him, Mr. Kozlov began ranting about the Virgin Mary, telling them, amongst other things, to resign themselves to their execution and accept their fate in the spirit of the Holy Mother. Mr. Kozlov then lunged at the officers with an extremely large textbook.
I'm sorry, a textbook?
An extremely large textbook. Mr. Kozlov then became extremely violent, swinging the textbook and punching and kicking as the officers attempted to restrain him.
I don't suppose it says anything in there about why it took that many officers to subdue him?
No, it does not.
What do you want to do, Mr. Ray?
In light of the allegations, and I'm sure we can all agree the police would have no reason to lie.
Answer the question, please.
All I'm saying is that if it did happen that way, then it's clear Mr. Kozlov had some sort of psychotic episode, and this matter should be traversed to mental health court.
Mr. Ray, do you realize the mental health court is so busy that they've increased their hours from half days to full days?
With all due respect, Your Worship, if necessary, I think they should run until midnight, 7 days a week.
Please excuse me. There is some mistake about me, and I need to get out of here to feed my animals.
Surely you'll be able to find someone else to feed them?
No. If I don't feed them, they die. And then I have to start experiment from beginning.
A moment's indulgence, Your Worship. Mr. Kozlov, do you understand what's happening here?
I am in a court because there was some problem for the police.
Do you know who I am?
No, I don't know you.
They're saying you assaulted 6 police officers. You don't remember doing that?
No, I don't remember.
What's happening, Mr. Ray?
Your Worship, unless there's some administrative reason why my client can't be traversed to mental health court,
No,
I'd like
Mr. Ray, I don't believe that that's always the best answer. And I worry that we're overloading them unnecessarily.
Well, I think Judge Malone would prefer that to having someone like Mr. Kozlov fall between the cracks.
Objections, Ms. Montiel.
No, Your Worship.
Okay, traverse Mr. Kozlov to 102.
Oh, is there someone that I can call?
I have a friend, Bridget Neely. Call her at the university. What about my experiment? What about my animal?
She had bad habits, a bad attitude. I was always worried about her, wasn't I?
Yeah.
You know? She's this one here, she's the good one, not like her sister. Anyway, she finally gets this job, and I think, okay, that's something. At least she's not a complete loser. Oh, and then she ends up mixed up with that dumb prick. You know what? I should have told the police that he came at me first that night. Then he would have been charged too. But no. I want to work it out together, you know, as a family.
Is there a bathroom around here?
Yeah, just right around the corner.
You want to know something else about this whole mess?
Not really. I mean, I think I got it pretty well figured out.
This all goes back to their father. I hope that bastard's dead. And if he's not, he should be made to come back here to see the misery he's caused, that son of a bitch.
You know what? Maybe you shouldn't say anything anymore.
Why?
Well,
because you're starting to upset me. I mean, the anger coming off of you is just, and the point is I shouldn't get too upset before a trial.
You like this, Lee? First time you see your mother in 4 months, and it's just before her trial. Well, how does it feel?
Come on, Phyllis.
And you, I bet this is a great day for you, you little turd.
Oh, shut up. It's not his fault. You hit him.
Yeah, I still get headaches, you know? I got a doctor says I might have permanent damage.
You were born with permanent damage, an idiot. Or didn't your parents ever tell you that?
Okay, let's, come on.
What? You mean that's enough? That's enough. You don't understand. She is going to go in there and tell lies about me just to protect this piece of garbage. Oh, look at that. Look at the way he's holding her as if he owns her. And when it's my turn, I am going to go in there and I'm going to say everything that happened that night.
Good. But for now, you shouldn't say anything. Let's just keep it as a surprise.
Hey, you know what? He got everything he wanted, didn't he, Leanne? He got you away from your family so that now you're totally dependent on him.
Okay, you know what?
Whatever, let's go get a Coke or something.
Hey, if you want to know why your sister isn't talking to you, blame that asshole!
They asked me who I wanted, and I told them you, man.
Oh, well, I'm flattered.
Because of our connection.
Hey, we don't have a connection, okay?
Now, come on. We both know you could be my kid.
You want to go? We can get a DNA test right now to prove that that is just not the case, okay?
I remember the night it probably happened. Me and Ronnie in a washroom at the Jarvis house. Your mother had the most amazing way.
Okay. You know what? You can't do that. You can't talk to me about you and my mother and your sordid past.
Sordid? What are you, some kind of religious freak? It was good times, man. That's all I'm saying.
Look, let's concentrate on the trial. Can we do that?
I'm doing my own trial.
Oh, God.
The judge just wanted me to have a lawyer to help me out.
Oh, in case what? You have an acid flashback? You know what? The only reason that I'm even here is because my mom wanted to make sure...
How is your mama?
She's good.
Yeah, some of the things we used to do.
Okay, la.
She could sing a bit, too. She could have been one of my ball breakers.
One of your what?
Putty balls and the ball breakers. That was my band, man. Gonna lay it down. Yes. They're gonna lay it down. Be the best.
Okay.
Gonna lay it down.
Okay.
Lay it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it down.
What happened at the shelter?
You know, all I want to do is give these guys some sense of community. I mean, lucky for them, I'd fallen on hard times, or I wouldn't even be there. They'd have to follow the leadership of that uneducated asshole who had no respect at all for that shelter or its co-inhabitants.
You know what? This charge is pretty similar to all the other recent assault entries that you have here. The guy spit on the floor, and so you beat him with a broom?
Well, yeah.
And another guy was smoking in his room, and you pushed him down a flight of stairs?
Behavior modification, man. That's all that is.
Okay, so you assault people because they're...
Uncivilized, yeah, but they can all be helped. Except for this last one, man. He is the Prince of Phil, so I had a choice. Put him in his place or let the barbarians take over.
What you should do is plead. Because you've been in the Dawn now for 3 months now.
I've been preparing my defense, man. I want this trial,
no,
man.
You really don't.
I have some points to make about civilized behavior. Anyway, there is a serious upside to that jail.
What are you saying?
The drugs.
Okay.
It's like I died and went to pharmaceutical heaven. So tell me about your mama, how she looked, man. She's still hot. Some of the things we used to do, yeah. Some of the things we used to... See you later, son. Ronnie!
Oh, hey, hi, so how's he doing? What's he look like?
I
still wearing those jeans?
about this, okay?
What? Why not? Attorney-client privilege? I'm your mother, for God's sake.
It's not about privilege. I just don't want to talk to you about that. You know, he's trying to tell me about the time that you guys spent in the washroom of the Jarvis house.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any idea how disturbing that is for me?
Don't be melodramatic. Oh, enough with the Coke in the pocket.
Oh, God.
Well, what? Where are you going?
I'm feeling a little sick. I'm going to get some air.
Oh, grow up.
Mommy? Oh, sweetie. I'm not your mommy. Do you know where she is? Oh, such a beautiful girl. Thank you. Gotcha.
This is where you live?
Yes.
I only got, like, I don't know, 10 feet into the store when, I mean, what's he know what my intentions are when I only just come in like that? But he's coming at me like I done something wrong, like he's just looking for trouble, eh? So I turned around and left. And I figured that was it, but the guy comes after me. He starts following me down the street, yelling at me to stop.
And did you?
No, I should have. I didn't do anything. But he starts coming after me real fast, and I got scared, right? So I started to run.
And he ran after you?
Yeah. When he caught up to me, he tackled me right there on the sidewalk. I mean, seriously, I'm lucky I didn't crack my skull open.
I'll say. And was that the end of the ordeal?
No, sir. He started punching me around like I was this bitch or something. And he twisted my arm real hard behind my back. And that's when I heard a pop. And I knew right then and there that my shoulder had been dislocated. And I begged him, please don't hurt me anymore. But he punches me right in the face. And that's when I passed out.
Wow. Quite the beating.
Your Honor?
Sorry, I was just swept away by the narrative. And what was the extent of your injuries, Mr. Whalen?
Well, it was the shoulder. Right. And he cracked 3 ribs, broke my nose, had bruises all over my back, bruises all over my face.
Nothing further. Can someone please get this man a Kleenex?
So let me get this straight. You walked into the store, you saw my client, and then you ran out. Is that correct?
I didn't run, I walked out.
You didn't do any shopping?
I didn't shoplift anything.
She didn't say shoplifting, sir. She said shopping.
I just meant that I didn't take anything, and I had absolutely no intention of taking anything.
So why did you go into the drugstore in the first place?
How is that relevant?
Well, let's find out. Answer the question, Mr. Whelan.
Well, I just went in to look around.
Do you have a criminal record, Mr. Whalen?
He obviously has a criminal record. He's just been brought in from Mimico, and he's sitting there in Prison Orange. Now, if you have a question about his record, let's see it.
You have a 3-page criminal record with multiple entries for theft under and B&E. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
And you've been arrested for shoplifting at this particular drugstore. How many times?
What he did or did not do in the store in the past has no bearing on what happened to him on the day in question.
Except that it might explain why my client felt it necessary to observe and follow him.
Observe and follow? More like stalk and attack. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
His previous activities in the store clearly have some bearing. Go ahead, Mr. Ray.
So, Mr. Whalen, you went into the store for no apparent reason. You left for no apparent reason, and you refused to stop when asked by Mr. O'Kenla for no apparent reason.
When she said go ahead, I think she meant ask him a question.
If you felt that you'd done nothing wrong, sir, why didn't you just stop and tell him that?
Because I didn't want to be hassled.
You didn't want to be hassled? Or you needed more time to dispose of whatever it was you took from the store?
He's already told us. He didn't take anything from the store.
Oh, right. I forgot. He just went in there to browse. Nothing further.
Well, I was sitting on the couch watching the game, and I heard her yelling at Leanne upstairs, calling her an idiot and stuff like that.
Did you have any idea what that was about?
It's like a war in that house. They're always yelling about something. And Phyllis...
You know what? You can hear his family yelling from down the street. In the summertime, I gotta keep my windows closed because of their noise.
Be quiet, ma'am.
Shh. Will you sit down, please?
You were saying, Mr. Stainer?
Well, I was about to say that Phyllis is a very mouthy woman.
Asshole!
Be quiet.
I meant you were going to tell us what happened.
Yeah, so she yells at Lee upstairs for a while, then she comes stomping down the stairs and starts yelling at me. Like she's nuts, right? I still don't even know what she was talking about.
And what happened then?
Well, she comes into the room waving a friggin' toilet plunger in my face, screaming how she sees these bruises on Lee and how I'm gonna pay for it. And then she clocks me with the plunger.
So what did you do?
Well, I tried to duck and calm her down, you know, and I told her that Lee actually attacked me, and I just pushed her away. And the bruises were from Leanne falling down the stairs accidentally.
Oh, yeah, right.
Be quiet, ma'am.
Okay, did you ever hit Ms. Coyne?
No way. Lee was in there by now, eh? She got between us, and she's trying to take the plunger away. And that's when Phyllis goes completely crazy and starts swinging the thing at Lee because she's trying to defend me.
Thank you.
Hey, okay, ask him about his family. Ask him about his family.
You know what? Let me do my job.
problem, Mr. Ryder?
No, Your Honor. So, all the time that she's wailing on you with the plunger, you didn't do anything to defend yourself?
I didn't want to hurt her.
Uh-huh. And that's because you admire and respect her so.
No, it's because I didn't want to make it any worse. She already thinks me and my family are dirt.
So you stood there and you took it like a man?
Basically.
Mm-hmm. But you and Phyllis didn't get along at the best of times, right? She's probably yelled at you before?
Yeah.
And you've probably yelled back, maybe even called her names?
Yeah, if she called me names first.
But this time, when she comes roaring down the stairs, screaming at you and waving a toilet plunger, you just sat there.
No, I got up and I told her to back off.
Mm-hmm. Were you mad?
Yeah.
Do you think you looked mad?
Calls for speculation.
Well, not really, just a little self-awareness.
Yeah, I was mad, so what?
Well, since you asked, my client had just found out that you had assaulted her daughter, and when you came down to confront her about it, you were angry and aggressive towards her. So it's just possible that she thought that you were going to attack her.
Then why did she have the toilet plunger?
Well, that's obvious, for protection.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I think I did. Thanks.
When my family left Vietnam, I had to leave my dog behind. And that made me very sad. And when we got on the boat, we got lost at sea for a month, and there wasn't much food, but my parents kept telling us everything would be all right. And eventually it was, because we came here and people helped us. And now I'm a successful lawyer with a very bright future. So this is how I think you should let people help you. First, you'd be better off in a shelter. Their staff will be able to access the support that people in your situation require. And when they find your accommodation, they can connect you to agencies that can help you maintain your rent payments. Any questions?
Did you ever see your dog again?
No.
Did you get a new one?
No, and I don't want to talk about my dog anymore.
After our daddy left us, we asked our mom if she could get us a new one.
A new dog?
A new dad. She said no. She said we can never have another dad. Ever.
I was angry.
That's a really sad story. But if it's a trick to get me to talk about my dog again, I'm not falling for it.
Mr. Kozlov. Yuri? Look, I'm here to help you. Do you understand?
No. Stay away from me. I don't want to talk to anybody. My mouth hurts. My teeth. I can't feel anything. What's happened to me? What's happening to me?
Look, Yuri, if we could just talk a little bit.
Stay away from me! You hear me?
He's got nothing to say that's going to be of any value to you. All he's got are lies. Mean, nasty lies from a mean, nasty man.
If you don't mind, Mr. Fairchild.
Oh, don't call me that.
I beg your pardon?
He says that he will only respond to Buddy Balls.
Buddy Metal Balls.
Buddy Metal Balls, Your Honor.
My information has you as Lloyd Fairchild.
Oh, that was my folky name, man. I changed it when I went electric.
All right, whatever. In the interest of time, we will refer to the defendant as Mr. Balls.
Right on.
Did he change his name legally?
Who cares?
Well, I mean, does he have ID?
My ID was taken from me.
He obtained a health card on the street with his chosen name on it.
A phony one.
It doesn't matter, people. It's not the issue we're dealing with here.
The police confiscated it when he was arrested.
And my jeans.
And his jeans.
And my chains.
And his chains. He wants them back.
Mr. St. Eustace.
Yeah, Buddy was sitting in the cafeteria bitching about my food, as usual.
Nobody's ever called it food, man.
If I adjourn these proceedings, Mr. Balls, you're going to wind up in the Dawn for another month.
You know, that's not going to be a hardship for him, Your Honor. He seems to get all his needs met in there. Perhaps we could just ignore him.
Well, anyway, he's complaining about the food, and Leyland walks in, and Buddy starts ragging on about some mess Leyland had left in the TV room. He smashes Leyland in the face and stabs him with a fork.
Where is Leyland now?
Well, I don't know. He's got some addiction problems.
He's on crack. That's why he's got no respect.
You see, that is his big issue. You see, if he thinks a man doesn't have enough respect...
Listen, I don't need to know any more about Mr. Balls' issues. Now, do you have anything factual you want to add here?
Well, yeah. The fork. It really hurt Leyland.
This is a copy of the medical report filed on consent detailing the extent of Mr. Pogg's injuries.
Yeah, what about my injuries, man? My pain. having to put up with people like him who have so little respect for men in distress. They feed them things wild pigs wouldn't eat.
Any chance you're finished with this witness, Mr. Weeks? Could Mr. Sachs have his turn now?
Yeah, I guess so.
You guess so. That's Mr. Weeks' way of saying you can go right ahead, Mr. Sachs.
Actually, Mr. Balls says that he wishes to exercise his right to represent himself, Your Honor.
What?
I tried to talk him out of it.
Well, try again. Try harder.
He wants to do it. I tried.
Okay, Mr. Balls. I can't believe I'm saying this, but do you have any questions for this witness?
Yeah. Why don't you put more cheese in the macaroni and cheese? You put in just enough to tease us with the smell. And that is cruel, man.
Now, how about a relevant question?
You know what? I can't even stand to look at him anymore. You can do it, Elliot.
Thanks.
Please be brief.
Oh, God, yeah, I will. So, Mr. St. Eustace, have you ever witnessed any other altercations in the past between Leyland and Buddy?
Yeah, there's been a few incidents, but nothing physical before.
Okay, and how big is Leland?
Well, he's maybe 6'8", about 280.
Isn't it possible that when Leland became angry over Buddy's admonition, that Buddy simply, went on the offensive because he was afraid?
Okay.
And he
that's enough questions for him. He made your point.
You know what? I just found out a little bit of...
It's been hard on everybody, you know. I mean, even him. It's time to show some respect. He can step down. Hey, remember when we spent that night at Cherry Beach? Good times. Ow!
Oh, God.
Go ahead, Mr. Beretsky. Well, they were on the pavement. Lewis was on top, twisting the guy's arm.
And was Mr. Whalen resisting?
Well, how can you resist when someone like that's on top of you?
Your Honor?
It works better when he asks the questions and you answer them, sir.
Okay. So, they're on the pavement with Mr. O'Kenla on top, twisting Mr. Whalen's arm, and as far as you can tell, Mr. Whalen isn't resisting.
It looked like he was just in pain and trying to get Lewis off him.
Oh, well, that clears that up for me. How about you? You okay with that? I think she'll allow you to continue. What happened next?
Well, then Lewis flips the guy over and started to punch him. I said, leave him alone. He wasn't going anywhere.
And did Mr. O'Kenla leave him alone?
No, he kept hitting him.
And is there any possibility that Mr. Whalen was struggling to get away at this point?
Can an unconscious man struggle to get away?
Is that a no?
Definitely. The guy was out cold. But Lewis, he just kept at him. And that's when I knew for sure that he completely lost it.
And that is when he knew for sure. Nothing further.
Good. So you think that Mr. O'Kenla is some kind of loose cannon? Do you typically hire such unhinged, undisciplined people? Are you running some sort of nut house in that store?
Mr. A, do you want to just take a breath and start again?
I'm sorry, I would like to know why he's turning on a loyal employee to defend a chronic shoplifter. Maybe he's worried about a civil suit, bad publicity.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I just found his testimony very upsetting.
Obviously. So just...
Mr. Beretsky, did Mr. Whelan steal anything from your store that day?
Probably.
Probably?
Cops found a bottle of Listerine in the gutter, but they couldn't charge him.
The cops couldn't charge him because they couldn't tie him to the bottle, correct?
Yeah.
And isn't that what Mr. O'Kenla was trying to do? Get to him before he had a chance to dispose of the bottle?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
Well, what other reason would he have to chase him down the street?
Well, because of what he did to this guy, you gotta think there was something personal in it, too.
Because it seems to me that if anybody had anything personal against Mr. Whelan, it would be you. I mean, he'd stolen merchandise from you on many occasions in the past. The last time was just a week before this incident, right?
Yeah.
And he got away that time, didn't he? He ran and Lewis couldn't catch him.
That's right.
And you told him that if he ever let him get away again, he would lose his job.
I reminded him he had responsibilities. He couldn't just show up in the uniform and think that was enough.
So you told him to do whatever it took to stop shoplifters so that you wouldn't have to hurt your customers by raising prices. Well, you're like some kind of saint or something.
I think she might need to take another little breath here. Mr. Beretsky told her client not to let shoplifters get away. He didn't instruct him to assault them. And even if he did, it's not a defense that he was told by his boss to commit a crime. If Mr. Beretsky asked him to rob a bank and he did it, he'd still be guilty.
Unless there was duress.
Duress is the threat of immediate death or bodily harm.
Bodily harm as in you're unemployed and your family might starve to death. And immediate, as used in the criminal code, has always struck me as open to interpretation.
Well, it's not.
Actually, it is.
Look, I might have told him he couldn't let this guy get away again, but I did not tell him to beat the shit out of him. I expected him to be reasonable.
Reasonable, like you? A man who's put my client's entire life and future in jeopardy over a bottle of Listerine? Yeah, that's all.
I just got out of the shower, and she walks in. I mean, she never knocks, and there's no lock on the door. Anyway, I'm standing there, and she sees I've got a few bruises.
Her body was covered, wasn't it?
But she doesn't even wait for an explanation or anything. She just starts screaming at me and grabs the plunger and heads downstairs.
I'd like to see how you'd act if you ever saw your child looking like that.
Mr. Ryder, I'm losing patience.
You've got to stop talking now. You've upset the judge.
Well, I'm pretty upset myself, okay?
Yeah, well, so am I, but you don't see me standing up and shouting at everybody about it.
Well, what are you upset about?
Oh, my God, what do you think? I've got no feelings? A family torn apart, a daughter testifying against her mother. It's heartbreaking.
Hey, easy, easy. Get a hold of yourself, okay? You've got a job to do, Sam.
Can I continue now?
Sorry.
So what did you do when you went downstairs?
She was yelling and hitting Brent with the plunger over and over again. Really hard.
And what was Brent doing?
He looked stunned. He wasn't even defending himself, really. I guess he didn't want to hurt her.
So what she saw in the bathroom that made her go insane was just a few bruises?
Yeah.
How many's a few? 2 or 3? 4? 5? 6?
I don't know. A few?
Describe them.
No. That's none of your business.
But okay, you don't want to describe them, so let's just assume that they were pretty bad.
Let's not assume anything.
Okay, were they pretty bad?
What? Objection. Relevance.
Motivation for my client's action.
Answer the question.
Okay, they were bad. Are you happy now? This was something private between me and Brent, but now it's out there for everyone, just the way you like it. When she was having problems with my dad, everybody knew about it.
We were not having problems, Leanne. He was a mean drunk, and everybody knew about it because they'd see my face in shreds.
Leanne, what were the bruises from?
I fell down the stairs.
No, no, no. He pushed it down the stairs.
Okay, that's enough. I mean it.
We were having a fight, and I hit him. He pushed me away, and I fell down the stairs.
So if we invited Brent up here to take off all of his clothing, we'd see his body covered in bruises as well?
Sorry, excuse me. Who is on trial here? I'm getting a bit confused.
Oh, well, we wouldn't want that. Okay, look, just answer this. Isn't it possible that your mother, apart from being angry with Brent for what he did to you, was also afraid of him?
She's not afraid of anyone.
Well, unless they're dangerous, you mean? Was she afraid of your father?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
All he does is study or work in the lab. That's why we're not together anymore. And I mean, I still care about him. But anyway, okay. So Yuri's been working on his biochem thesis for 5 years, and it wasn't working out. So his supervisor made him start on a new project. And then about 18 months later, he said that it wasn't good enough for a PhD. So there goes his life, right? How do you react? He started writing on his walls.
I'm sorry?
He moved all of his furniture into the middle of the room and wrote on his walls. Stuff.
What kind of stuff?
I don't know. It was in Russian.
Russian, on the walls. Great.
Mr. Kozlov seems to be suffering from a brief but intense psychotic episode. I wasn't able to determine the trigger from our interview.
Severe pressure at school, Your Honor. His friend, Ms. Neely, has given me some information that I'd like to share.
What information? Bridget, what have you told them?
It's okay, Mr. Kozlov.
Bridget, look what they did to me. Don't tell them anything.
We're here to help you, sir. You'll have to trust us.
With all due respect, Your Honor, he's no reason to trust anyone. He suffered a severe beating by no less than 6 officers, and he has no memory of any of it.
2 officers also required medical attention.
Oh, yeah? How much? Let's bring them in here and compare their appearance to Mr. Kozlov.
Okay, Mr. Ray. First things first. Let's find out what the doctor recommends.
Well, we'll need an assessment. If this was his first episode, we'll probably want him on antipsychotic medication as soon as possible.
No! I have work to do! Bridget, please, get me out of here!
She can't help you right now, Yuri. Please, just try to stay calm.
I was calm. I worked hard. I studied. I tried my best. What's happened to me?
That's what we're going to try to find out, sir.
No! Just tell me what's happened to me! Nobody told me I was going to fail, and now I'm here and you won't tell me why!
There'll be a 30-day assessment.
No, please, no, please. I was going to feed my animals.
Please, tell me what's happened to me, Bridget. Make them tell me.
Was he talking about his problems at school, Mr. A?
Maybe. Or maybe about why he looks like he's just stepped out of a war zone.
Well, maybe you should tell him that it was him that started the war.
I believe my friend is playing to the gallery, Your Honor. I think those are representatives of the police association. Assault police times 6. Times 6! And you people are here to make sure that your officers aren't unfairly depicted? Give me a break.
You ever tried to subdue someone having a psychotic episode?
That is...
I'm sure she hasn't. But then it's not her job. Those police officers are supposed to be trained to handle that kind of thing.
I don't know, Your Honor. You do all this good work in here trying to bring an enlightened approach to dealing with mental illness, and 6 stormtroopers come in and undermine the whole thing.
I'll tell you who started it. Leland did. He looked at me with those dull, crackhead eyes. He said, "Let's go." So I went to protect my principles, and I went to defend the dignity of my co-inhabitants.
Okay. And so in your opinion, you were what then? You were consenting to a fight?
A fight about dignity, right? So ask me what I mean by dignity.
What do you mean by
forget it. I've made my point. I'm done.
You sure?
Yep.
Mr. Balls, I just have a few...
Did you hear me? I'm done.
Yeah, but it's just...
Hey, I mean it.
Your Honor.
What the hell do you want me to do? Mr. Balls, I can appreciate your need for cleanliness, civilized behavior, and a decent amount of cheese on your macaroni.
Right on.
But there will be a finding of guilt here because, what can I say? You're guilty, right? I mean, you beat the guy up. But I'm not going to sentence you to any more jail time because you apparently enjoy it too much. So you're out of here with time served. But I never want to see or hear from you again, sir.
So when can I have my health card back?
He wants his ID back.
His phony ID? I can't do that.
Oh, come on, be a pal.
No.
Hey, Ronnie, I'm free. You want to hang out?
Oh, yeah, you bet.
Hey, where you going, son?
When their father and I first got together, he was incredible. He was very charming, very kind. Then after we got married, it was like, he wasn't the same guy. At first, it was like a bad dream. I kept wondering, what I could do to bring the other one back, the kind one. But the first time he hit Leanne, that's when I left him. That was my line. And when I came home and I saw Leanne looking like I used to after a round with him, well, I lost it.
And you went downstairs to confront Brent.
He had to know that there was no way he could use that garbage against my daughter.
And why did you take the toilet plunger with you?
I know from experience that if you confront these guys about what they've done, they usually lash out.
So you thought it was possible that Brent might hit you, too?
I only took the stupid thing for protection. If I wanted to hit him, I would have used a tire iron. Okay, I was mad. I was yelling at him about what he had done, and I was pretty loud, and I was swearing a bit. Oh, but then he gets out of his chair, right? And he comes at me like I'm supposed to back down or something, right? But I didn't. Oh, and then he looks at me, right? The way my ex-husband used to look at me, and I knew he was going to hit me, so I beat him to it.
So why didn't you call the police?
About what?
About what you claim you saw on your daughter's body?
I don't know. I should have. Look, I wasn't thinking very clearly, okay? I don't sleep much. I got this condition. Sleep apnea.
I'm sorry, what is this? You're gonna blame this whole thing on some sleep condition?
You know what? She might be getting to something. Why don't you just let her finish?
Are you getting to something, Miss Coyne?
Yeah, look, okay. I wasn't in very good shape. And when I saw what he had done to Leanne, well, I didn't know what to do.
Right, so not knowing what to do, you went right ahead and did something anyway. You picked up the closest available weapon and went downstairs to confront Mr. Stainer to provoke him into a confrontation.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you saying she wanted him to hit her?
No, I'm saying she wanted to hit him, only making him so angry he reminded her of her ex-husband definitely made it easier for her.
If you say so, Dr. Freud.
Is there a question, Miss Minnow?
I just want to know what she expected Mr. Stainer to do when she went downstairs waving a weapon in his face.
Well, she's already said that she expected a physical response.
Okay, so why didn't she call the police? Oh, that's right. She's got sleep apnea.
And you didn't like that answer.
She wanted to deal with him herself. That is why she didn't call the police. She wanted revenge.
I bet that judge has never been beaten up.
What did you expect her to give you a medal? A conditional discharge means that you won't have a criminal record.
Yeah, but why is it that I'm the one who has to go to counseling? What about Leanne?
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait until she takes a toilet plunger to him.
We can still hang out, right? I mean, just because I don't have anything to do with her doesn't mean...
No. You're not to go anywhere near her until you get this poison out of your system. Hey, you dump this jerk, and then you can see her. Do you... Hey.
Kathy, listen to me. Get a job, put some money aside, and get as far away from these people as possible, okay?
I love them.
Yeah, I know you do.
I mean it.
If I'd seen him drop the Listerine, I wouldn't have chased him. I thought he still had it on him, and I was trying to reach him before he got rid of it.
And did you call out for him to stop?
Yes, but that just made him go faster. So when I was near enough, I jumped on him, and we both fell.
And was Mr. Whalen in any way subdued at this point?
No, he struggled hard to get away. So I tried to put a restraining hold on him.
By putting his arm behind him?
Yes, but it didn't work. He kept squirming underneath me and trying to push me off. I didn't want to hurt him, but I couldn't let him get away.
So why'd you do it?
I was very stressed.
Stressed about him running away, you losing a job, the bottle of Listerine?
I don't know what
Which one of those concerns made you pummel him into unconsciousness?
I didn't mean to knock him out.
Well, why not? If it was the only way to stop him from struggling, because as long as he was struggling, there was a chance he could get away. Is that how you were trained to do it in Nigeria, Mr. O'Kenla?
Your Honor?
Because in this country, the power that comes with wearing a uniform is married to a stringent set of responsibilities. Are you familiar with the term reasonable force?
Yes.
And do you think the people who came up with that term believe that rendering someone unconscious would fall within the definition they intended? But then maybe they didn't have to stop thieves from stealing mouthwash.
As a peace officer, you are an agent of the law, and you are expected to exercise restraint. I believe that you allowed your personal concerns to impede your judgment. Your inability to control your behavior resulted in a beating which could have proved fatal. Now, while that may not have been your intention, it is clear that you used excessive force in your restraint with Mr. Whalen. As such, there will be a finding of guilt. I'm requesting a pre-sentence report to help me determine how to deal with you.
We're going to appeal.
No, I don't want to.
Louis, we have to appeal. If we don't, then you won't be able to be a police officer here.
I beat him because he made me mad. I thought, who was he to make me lose my job? Put my family in jeopardy. So I beat him. No appeal, Alice.
I get a pension, salary, health benefits, and I'm in a position to actually make a difference. Occasionally help some poor bastard out. I spent 15 years in a constant state of frustration.
Yes, and yet here you are, still relatively sane.
Huh. I could use another drink.
Bartender, you think you've got problems? You know what's happening over there? Right now, they're speculating about the chances that he's my father.
Jesus, is that even possible?
Haven't you ever talked about your father?
You know, one she told me that he was a shoe salesman in Idaho, another time that he was a mayor of some town in Saskatchewan. You know, one of the flying Walendas or a bush pilot, you know.
So it could be this guy?
Hey. Oh, Jesus.
Bartender, quickly.
Yep.
Quickly.
Me too.
Yeah.
Hey, here you go. Hey, here you go. Hey, Bunny, want some? Yuri says hi. He'll be back soon. Or maybe he won't.
Next week on This is Wonderland.
When you do these crazy things, do you know they're crazy? Like now, for example, why you just stare at me instead of answering my question? Okay, whatever.
That's next time on This is Wonderland.
I'm Andrew Craig, the host of the radio show In Performance on CBC Radio 2. Please stay with us. The National is next.